When my team wins a big game, it's good. But when my team doesn't win the big game, you better look out, Buster. I'm a loose cannon. This is not good at all.
Welcome back to Too Much Dip, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David Carter Ruff, if you're new here. I host this thing, and normally we have three of us in studio. The three of us being me, Dylan, and KJ. KJ's at home, live from DeSoto, Texas, home of the Eagles. Hi, KJ.
What is up? Coming live to you straight from the room of my child. Above me, you'll see a sign that has a water-painted caterpillar on it. So
that's sick.
We'll makeshift office for the day.
I like it. I think you're ready to podcast at a high level. We've got Dylan. Dylan is here, confirmed.
I am here. Thank you, David. I am always very happy to be here, despite how my teams do over the weekend. Not today, however.
You better look out, Buster.
Today, I don't want to be here.
You're a loose cannon.
I don't want to be here, but I'm here.
You don't want to be around anymore.
It's my job. I'm going to do
well,
it.
let me introduce somebody or something, an idea that might change your mind about that.
Yo, Michael, I know.
We've got special guest here.
Yo.
It's Michael Wiener.
Hello, and welcome to Too Much Dip. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm just sauteed AF off on that super fantastic, this shit loud and booming. Shouts to my main man, the phenom, Cole Campbell.
Super fantastic.
Sauteed.
Okay.
Sauteed.
I'm sauteed
Give
AF.
the guy credit. He has some clever names for things. He's referring to coffee as super fantastic. You don't see that.
I'm sipping on that super fantastic.
In all seriousness, though, it's great to be here. I reached out to Dave this week and said, David, I think that I should join you. There's a lot to talk about. And indeed, there is a lot to talk about. I'm pleased and honored to be sitting in KJ's chair today.
I figured it was fitting. Once I caught wind of this, I was like, you know what? I'll stay north of the Waco-Dixon line just to make sure Mike has all the air in the room.
The Waco-Dixon line, he says.
It's a new one. I like that.
Where does Mount Carmel on that, north or south of the line?
They're Missouri. How about that?
Okay. We got a big show. And look, despite the 6 or 7 dip line calls that happened late Saturday night that were all about one thing, one game in particular, all of which were very, very targeted toward one member of this pod, we're not going to hit the dip line today. But if you want to hit the dip,
what's wrong with people wanting?
Do you want me to hit the? Do you want me to play it?
Why are people piling on? Like, I'm not going through it all.
For what? What are you talking about exactly? Are we on the same page? I'm talking about A&M losing. What are you talking about?
Oh, are you, David? Yeah, because there's a A&M fan on the podcast.
If you want to hit the dip line, Dylan, and everybody at home, 833-371-3477.
Hit shit, David.
Maybe we'll play some good ones on Thursday. What is your Why are you being such a jerk?
He looks handsome. Look at him, man.
Don't divert. You're being a jerk.
Yeah, what's your deal?
Am I?
No, you're not.
I'm being all right.
You're just a little bit.
Look, I'm here,
touchy.
man.
What's the biggest story in college football? Where do we begin? I mean, we've got a number of teams losing, A&M being one of them.
Oklahoma goes down.
Oklahoma goes down. Florida gives up 52 to Samford.
42 in the first half.
Sheesh.
At home.
That's not good.
Not good at all.
Not good at all.
I don't know. KJ, your thoughts?
I guess I'll defer to the guest here. The J School graduate. I don't know if it's actually the J School, the Mizzou graduate.
Well, yes. We refer to ourselves as the Missouri School of Journalism. It's actually outside of the framework of the rest of the university. Very cool. That being said, you got to start in Austin.
Okay,
Austin, Texas.
We have to start here.
Yeah.
Are you talking about? Did you enroll at the new University of Austin? It's a very niche reference. I'm sorry.
No, not yet. It's not for a while anyway. But anyway, Texas loses to Kansas at home.
Oh, geez, I missed.
I don't know if you guys missed this.
They did.
A remarkable loss, their 5th consecutive loss, the first time since 1956. We can go through all the stats.
One since September.
Yeah. I was a single man the last time they won a football game.
I don't remember what I was
Sheesh.
doing in September. It's been so long.
Yeah, it's not
Probably
great
this.
here. Things are remarkably bad. I was watching the game. I'll in the interest of full disclosure, I would not consider myself a UT fan, but I have a lot of UT fans in my life. I generally root for them. I don't
Shout out
have anything
Steve.
against them. Shouts to Steve. Shouts to Dylan. Shouts to Coach Bobby. I don't have any beef with the University of Texas necessarily. I don't. I don't feel spurned by them. I
And
don't
you
have,
hate Kansas.
and I do hate Kansas. But I was watching this game, and Caitlin asked me, what percentage of you is rooting against Texas here? And I said, I don't know. It's much higher than 0. And I don't want Kansas to win, and I don't really want Texas to lose, but I love a train wreck. And this is the Titanic smashing into
It
an
is,
iceberg. Yeah. This is bad. These are bad days. These are really bad times.
Yeah. My take on this loss in particular. So, obviously, Texas was 4-5 before this game. Had lost 4 straight. But if you look at the losses, I mean, I don't know how good Arkansas is really, but if you look at the losses, they lost to decent teams. Baylor, pretty good. Oklahoma State, not bad. OU, obviously, they have 1 loss on the year. Who else is there in there?
You just named 3 ranked top 20 teams.
Exactly. Point being,
Iowa State in Iowa State.
Iowa State. Okay. Point being,
And all by less than a touchdown.
yes, the losses. While there were a lot of them, we're 2 good football teams. So it's okay, it's Sark's first year. Let's give him time to get his recruits in, get his system fully installed. Let's see how it goes after a few years, and then we'll judge the guy. This loss, after this one, it's almost like you don't come back from this loss. And I hate to discredit Kansas here, but that's a terrible, terrible football program.
It's really bad.
No offense. So this loss is so bad that it's okay, how can you recruit quality athletes to this football team, right? How can you keep the decent athletes that are already on the team to not want to transfer away to better programs? This is the kind of loss that really sets your program back even more than it already is set back, which is quite a bit, to be honest. It's how does Sark make it beyond this year? I don't know.
They go to West Virginia next week. They will not be favored in that game.
Texas might not win another
If
game.
They're
lose
without
out-
their best player.
Yeah.
Dijon is out for the year.
Just a reminder of how bad Kansas was. And if anybody watched the game, even though Kansas spent most of the game up 3 touchdowns, Texas was clearly better. The players were better.
Yeah.
Texas, of course, had 52 players who were 4 stars or higher. Kansas has 1.
Yeah.
The disparity was jarring, and to just see, and Kansas did not play a perfect game. They down the stretch, they were trying to give the game away. They were doing weird things.
Yeah.
They were so bad at celebrating that the coach ran out on the field after they got the 2-point conversion that won the game, trying to get his players off because he thought that it tied it or something. It was just so bizarre that the guy who caught the 2-point conversion jumped up and banged his knee. By the way, that kid had never played a snap on offense before Saturday.
Dude,
We're
the video of his parents seeing it
Yeah.
from the other side of the stadium was sick.
We're 10 games into the Sark tenure, and already it's has this dude completely lost his program? We have players that are recording their coaches, ripping into them on the bus. He was asked after the game if his players have tuned him out. His answer was, I don't know. You have to ask them. This is his first year, and it's this guy's already lost the program. It's very disheartening.
You
as a
forgot
Texas
about
fan.
the monkey.
The monkey episode, which is just funnier more than anything, I think.
They have not won since the monkey.
That's true. The
They
funniest
haven't
thing,
won since a lot of things have happened.
the funniest thing is Kansas fans inside that building chanting SEC. I almost fell out of my chair when I heard
Yeah.
that. And then my favorite tweet was someone calling Kansas the bowl assassin, which is just funny.
Okay.
That's a tough way to go.
It's
The what?
The bowl assassin,
Oh,
as
bowl
in Texas
assassin,
chances to
they're-
make a bowl
Correct.
game. Yes.
okay.
They will not be bowl eligible. It's an absolute disaster of a season.
I don't know how long Sarkisian's contract is. I think it's a 7-year deal. This is bad.
It's bad.
I've never seen anything like this, and I've been here.
Texas will buy out your contract. They proved that. I don't know if 1 year is enough,
You can't. If you're Texas,
you just don't come back from this.
You cannot really give him 1 year. You've already had
lost 5 in a row, including Kansas at home.
It's his first year, and you've had such chaos at the coach, like dating back to pretty much since Mac Brown.
I miss Mac Brown so much.
Sure,
I wanted him gone at the time, and now looking back, it's like, wow, I miss those 8 and 4 years.
Looking back at Tom Herman, as much as I love to rip Tom Herman, just because I kind of thought he was a douche. The games he did lose, he was competitive in, and he did not lose to Kansas.
No, he did not.
Charlie Strong did, but
he won 3 bowl games in 3 seasons, or 2 bowl games anyway. I don't know if they played in one last year. I forget. But here's the problem. Herman was just sort of generally a douche.
Thank you.
I think that was kind of the feeling. But it's one thing when you pay $24 million to buy out a coach if you're going to go get a slam dunk hire. And I hate to dunk on Longhorn fans with this, but like when the Aggies brought in Jimbo Fisher, that's a slam dunk. Let's bring in a guy who's won a national championship. He'll fit in this culture. No one in this town was like doing backflips when they were like Steve Sarkisian. So there wasn't hype, and he's not a douche. But he's not like the kind of guy who's going to get the fan base fired up. He's never said anything interesting.
He's not a big splash hire. He's not like an Urban Meyer, the kind of guy who's proved that he can go into a program and turn it around like pretty much year one.
Right. He's shown and he's known as being this offensive genius. But they haven't done it on the field. So he can't point at that, and he can't say that he's like, it feels like rock bottom, and it feels like they're going to get beat next week. And I don't know what that's going to feel like.
DeSoto, Texas, you're on Too Much Dip. What say you?
I appreciate it. I feel like with Sark, he's not gone after the first year. I guess let me frame this as someone who's very familiar with what it's like to enjoy a losing program and or a losing team. We look back a month and a half ago and look at the shit show that was happening in Jacksonville. And you just kind of had to, continue to eat that shit cereal and just one spoonful after another. And fans will dunk on you left and right. They laugh at you left and right. And all it took was a trip across the pond, a win over a shitty team, a bye week, an embarrassment in Seattle, and then you get your second win over the best team in the NFL at the time.
I forgot this was a Jaguars podcast.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, continue.
And then, even yesterday against the Colts, they lose the game, but then they play the kind of game that you'd expect them to have like the entire year. Close, competitive score-wise, took a couple big plays, and then they lose. That's all you can ask out of Texas in year one. Jimbo Fisher, I just had to look it up. I guess he was 8-4 year one? That's a decent 9-4. He won his bowl game. 8-4, then 9-4 won the bowl game. So they lost a bunch of games in the SEC, but that's what you'd be asking for of Sarkisian. And I think you had it even with last night considered. I think that last night was an anomaly, or not last night, Saturday was an anomaly. And had that loss happened week 1 of the Big 12 and it been the first of your 4 or 5 losses, I don't think people would have been losing their shit over it. Just flip the games. We're taking it in the context of you've got the Bo Davis video last week, you've got the monkey bite incident, but nobody was asking for Sark's head after 4 straight. So all of a sudden it's the 5th. I know Lance Leopold and the program that they've got going at Kansas is the only way you can go is up, but it's you're not there yet. The players who were recording it, if you tell me it was Bijan Robinson who recorded that video and then he's out for injury, okay, yeah, you've lost the room. But Texas has 110 players or some odd on the roster. You're going to have idiots who shouldn't have been there in the first place. So
I think that this coaching staff is rooting for the transfer portal to blow up and just move half these guys out of there and bring in half.
That might be a good thing.
You can
I would
leave
not
people
be
off
surprised.
scholarships even without transfers.
I just worry about this staff's ability to recruit quality players to this program, considering how things are right now.
That is an unknown.
So they're going to have to turn the program around with lesser talent moving forward than what, lesser by Texas standards, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
And that's what's concerning. They're going to have to, I don't know.
It's a culture problem that everybody throws out, like the country club thing. They've thrown it out there forever. since the MAC days. Cowboys, they've had that too. But maybe it's not the worst thing if they have to start getting the guys who aren't as highly recruited, the 3 stars, and come in there, get some dogs in the program. Because right now, I mean, that first half, I was like, oh, this is a team. Like first quarter, this is a team that's quit.
Yeah.
Like they don't care.
The effort was weak. There were guys giving up on routes. Like
Not
everything
tackling.
that could be wrong. Oh, the tackling was terrible. Everything that went wrong really went wrong. And it's hard to understate how bad Kansas is as a program.
Yeah.
Like this I mean, this isn't 5 in a row. This is Kansas
years.
at home.
I understand and I agree. Like Kansas is not good. They're like what 115th out of 130 or something. They're trash.
Kansas is essentially just a symbol for the worst you can possibly be at football, and that's who they lost to at home.
It's Texas not UMass, and the Samford score I think is more embarrassing than what happened to Texas on the field wise. Not having your team ready to go is a problem. At the end of the game, I will still say the players that were on the field at the end of the game and going into overtime, defensively and offensively, that didn't look like a team that had given up or quit.
You're right.
Like
I agree with that.
battling.
The turnovers were, and there were 4 or 5 turnovers, I think, were all the fault of the quarterback. I mean, it was an interception, some weird, just like fumbles on sacks. I'm not ready to say the team completely quit on the staff. But my God, it's Kansas at home.
The last interception, do you feel that upset about that one? Like that wasn't like a terrible read. It just was like he's playing with a broken finger or whatever. He missed the pass by a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if we have anything else on Texas, Kansas, but
I hope that Xavier Worthy is wearing a Texas uniform next year. He's like the lone bright spot on the year for me. That dude is so much fun to watch. Freshman receiver who's just absolutely putting up numbers, and he has a very big future ahead of him, I think, and I just want him to be a Longhorn moving forward.
He seems all in. That guy was playing hurt. I think
that
he's
dude's legit.
The best thing that will happen is that they don't have a playoff game or a bowl game, and they can ride under the radar and go recruit. They don't need anybody rehashing their season on TV all winter.
It's a good thing they don't have a network to talk about them all the time.
Well, the good thing about that is that no one watches it.
That's true. That's true.
All right, let's keep pushing.
Elsewhere in the Big 12, did you see what happened on 35 up near Waco way?
Oh, yeah.
The Sooners, the number 8 undefeated Sooners, go down there. And this game did not go as I thought. I thought this would, and Dylan, you shared this sentiment. I thought this would be a Baylor gets up early, maybe a couple scores, but at the end, OU goes OU, and they win the game. Both teams had chances. Baylor had a number of chances to put points up early. Didn't. Went for it, didn't get it, whatever. And I was like, man, they're going to regret that. Baylor ends up upsetting OU behind pretty much the legs of Gary Bohannon. He had a bad interception early, and then they kind of realized that, oh, this dude can run. This dude is excellent in the open field, and that was cool. And we had mad coaches, big mad coaches at the end. We had Lincoln Riley being a little upset with everything.
Why exactly was he upset?
So the fans rushed the field
with
when
1 second left,
and I don't think it wasn't completely their fault because I think there was some issue with the clock maybe. But
no, it was their fault. The shot clock had like one fewer second on it than the game clock. They just assumed, okay, well, the game's essentially it's over, but it's not technically over. Let's just rush the field.
Didn't Baylor also fail to take a knee properly? They had to call timeouts at the end.
No. They intentionally called the timeout.
Oh, okay.
Baylor calls a timeout.
It's very confusing.
And this is after they get the fans back. Lincoln Riley's giving it to the judge, the field judge. I don't really know what he was saying. I think he was mad there wasn't a unsportsmanlike on Baylor, which at that point, dude.
You think 50,000 people on the field is worthy of a 15-yard penalty?
I mean,
it seems unsportsmanlike to me.
It definitely was, but what's his end game? He just looks mad.
He looks like a turd.
Which he absolutely was. And then he did not like that Dave Aranda elected to kick a field goal. And he said as much. He said, I get it. I get why he did it. And Aranda said he did it because this is accurate. Big 12, when it comes down to the Big 12 championship, it comes down if there's a tie to point differential. And Baylor was up 10. They could go win by 13. So they kicked a field goal, and there is probably going to be some teams tied. There's like 4 teams, I think, right there. But Lincoln Riley didn't like it. He said it was against the code of sportsmanship. The stuff that makes you kind of eye roll, do this number with your hand. Like, okay, guy, you're just mad because your team wasn't that good.
Did an air jerk motion there.
Air jerk.
For those who are not watching.
Are we sure Oklahoma is good? Because they lost this week, but their best win on the season was a Texas team that just lost to Kansas at home. I'm not sure Oklahoma's good. And Lincoln Riley, he never loses. They had won 18 straight games or something.
They win the Big 12 every year. But let me talk
like
about,
he should be a little bit better when they lose one game.
Let me talk about their fan base real quick.
Yeah.
The most spoiled fan base when it comes to quarterback play I've ever seen. And I get it. They've had an incredible run of like Heisman winning, incredible quarterbacks go through that program. But they call for Spencer Rattler to be replaced. And then Caleb Williams struggles in one game as a freshman, and they want Rattler back in.
And they got Rattler.
And
now,
they got Rattler
a lot of that, now, what's his name? Williams, right? Casey Williams.
Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams, excuse me. Got his hand stepped on. I don't know how much that affected him. You'd have to think a lot. But he came back in, and then you did get some Rattler. And problem was Baylor's defense is very good. They get to the quarterback, and Spencer Rattler's not that dude.
No.
And he didn't do anything. So, Lincoln Riley, I saw some stat that his record after a bye week is very, very, very below average. Not good after and if you tie in the bowl games and not having played for a week or something, like it's not good at all. I don't know if there's anything to that. But I guess this is pretty good for the committee because they had OU at 8. That's the highest they've been.
It felt outrageous to me that Oklahoma. Now I know 1 minute ago I just said I'm not sure Oklahoma's any good, but how is a team that won 18 straight games ranked 8th in a power conference still?
And it's not like it was Fresno; it was OU, a team that they want in there.
It was bizarre to me, but yeah. So that's a big one for the committee. One less thing to worry about. What about the fact that Oklahoma's head coach spent most of the week in Baton Rouge?
Has he addressed that?
He was definitely there.
Because it is hilarious.
We tracked the flight, sir.
Yes. Someone
he missed a press
took
conference
a PJ.
in Norman. Mysterious PJ flying to Baton Rouge from Norman. I don't know.
I just find it hilarious. I work with some guys who are LSU fans, and they're just like, yeah, it's either going to be him or Dabo. And I'm like, it's or maybe Jimbo's going to leave.
Yeah, Jimbo's going to he's going to leave a program that he's got.
What are you talking about?
Oh, my God.
I want to talk about a fan base with unbelievable expectations.
No, it's probably going to be
so.
After this week. Aranda's going to be pretty high on the LSU and USC list. He's a California guy. Obviously has the national championship as the DC at LSU. That being said, good win for Baylor. Nice bouncing back after just a terrible loss at TCU.
Baylor's pretty solid.
Baylor's good. That Petrie, that linebacker's really, really good. I think he'll be a first rounder.
Wow.
Yeah. That's what Joel Klatt said.
Very cool.
What else? Hey, shout out Texas Tech.
Yeah.
KJ.
Yeah. Shout out to Texas Tech for picking up a win over Iowa State at home. That's big for them.
62 yards.
I feel like Sonny Cumbie is doing his best to continue auditioning for the TCU job. I can't wait for him to be the Sonny that gets that job. That's all I'm asking for. That's all I'm hoping for. So, yeah.
Can I ask you something as our TCU expert here? Basically the person who hates them the most.
Exactly.
What about primetime to TCU? Because that's what the message boards are saying, and it is the most hilarious possible outcome.
It is so insane. Like, I get it. He's he's based in Dallas for, roughly the same Metroplex area. But like, it would make as much sense for, Deion Sanders to be the head coach at Baylor as it would for him to be the head coach in dealing with Fort Worth and Parker County boosters. Like, that's not happening at all. I don't see that in the slightest. That's just not happening. I was all amped up and ready to talk about what Georgia and Alabama did this weekend. And then Florida stole the headlines for my beloved SEC. Shout out to them for clawing back against Samford. RIP to the Bo Nix era at Auburn.
Bummer.
You know, they lose to Mississippi State. Bo Nix goes out with an injured ankle, likely out for the rest of the year. And then the Aggies lose.
Sheesh. Hotty toddy. Micah, as you would say to strangers.
That's right.
Where do we stand on Lane Kiffin just at this point in his career? I don't want to spend too long on it, but he was on one of the morning shows. I guess they were in Oxford.
Yeah.
Like, are we pro Lane Kiffin? Has his like doucheness and terrible tenure, like with the Raiders in Tennessee, like did he turn it all around via Twitter? Basically,
he has become a lovable douche, which is it's not easy to do.
He's got enough self-awareness.
Correct. That is the key.
Self-aware douchiness is not the worst.
We can name some self-aware douchebags we're friends with, and we might even be them. I will say that maybe I am. He never did anything in his past, unless I'm not aware, that was so egregious where it's like, oh, this guy shouldn't be coaching kids, right? Like there was rumors about him.
There's no actual scandals in his past.
Alleged hookups, but nothing proven. We don't want to get too message board heavy in here, but he and look, I thought when Saban fired him on the tarmac or whatever, if that really happened, I didn't know if there's any coming back from that, but he's having quite the second life here.
He's one of these guys who, I'll get up in my ivory tower for a moment. If he was the public face of my university, I would feel uneasy about it. But he's probably a pretty good football coach. And if you're the state of Mississippi, you'll take it. He's good for them until he steps somewhere else. I mean, the state of Mississippi has shown, and no offense to the people there, but those universities will do whatever it takes to win. They do not care about reputation. Mississippi State hired Jackie Sherrill, for God's sake. Be a weirdo, be a cheater, have a weird history. It doesn't matter. Just come back and win.
I would say nothing would probably crystallize that point more than the fact that, I don't know, we're about 6 months removed from like the University of Mississippi and Mississippi State University, like advocating for them to take the rebel flag off of the state flag so that they don't piss off the recruits. Like they only care about winning the football games. They're like, okay, we'll finally take down the Confederate flag off the state flag.
The ends justify the means.
Wanted
it. One other thing on the Aggies, their backup quarterback isn't very good. He looks like a backup quarterback. I know that they beat Alabama with that guy, but he's not very good. They're beatable with that dude in there, and they got beat.
It's scary to think what a team like that would have done with like Matt Corral or just an actual.
I mean, their defense is as good as anybody I've seen this season. Mm-hmm. But with pedestrian quarterback play, they're an average. Well, they're an above average team, but they're an average SEC West team.
When's the last time A&M had a quarterback that was worth talking about? Because I think back to when Kyler Murray was an Aggie. Obviously, he did not end up an Aggie, but I'm trying to think who like the last
Tannehill,
Manziel.
Oh, yeah, Manziel,
Johnny
obviously
is the answer. Yeah,
but Tannehill was fine, but it wasn't like I don't know.
I mean, Tannehill was he really? He spent what, a year as quarterback there?
Yeah, because he was a receiver his first 2 years.
That's the same. He was a receiver most of the time. I also have not seen an update on Jordan Davis, defensive lineman out of Georgia's leg injury or lower body injury, because that's news to watch. They had a good game against Tennessee. Tennessee, similar to a lot of mid-range, big league teams out there, it's just not there. They tried to keep up with Georgia, and Georgia just cooked them. So there's my SEC report.
Hey, shout out Michigan. We thought we had another catastrophic Michigan moment.
We had to wait till Sunday to watch the Lions for that.
Okay. They didn't lose. They didn't lose.
We'll get to them, but they're a tough watch.
I think it was a fumble, intercept, just a bad, ill-timed turnover for Michigan, and ended up bouncing back, getting that dub. That's a good win for them. They're still right there. So I don't know. Anything else on college football you want to opine on?
It's been a weird year. I know I haven't been here, but my general feeling on college football so far is it's strange. This is not as bizarre as like 2005, but it's pretty close. There's a lot of strange things. I mean, Georgia looks like the super team in my mind, and Alabama doesn't look to be Alabama. Clemson's nowhere to be found. It's Oklahoma now has a loss. We're shaking things up a little bit, which makes it more interesting, really. So I'm rooting for chaos.
I will say, early in the season, after Oklahoma State beat Baylor, I was not sold on Okie State. I was like, their offense is just not good. I don't think they're that good of a team. And now I saw what they did to TCU, and granted, TCU is not having a great year, but
Chad Morris's kid.
They seem like they're having some more success on offense, and they're kind of a weapon, and I fully expect them to win Bedlam and probably be left out of the conversation, top 4. But
I mean, that would include them beating Oklahoma, even though Oklahoma won't be that high, and then beating Baylor or Oklahoma. So they'll have a place at the table when they're 12-1.
That's fair. That's a good point. Okay. Well, that's a wrap on college football.
Wow.
Dylan, you don't want to run it back?
We got through it.
Okay.
We got through it, and we can move on.
Can we talk about our good friends at ExpressVPN?
Yes, we can.
Do.
Look, you've heard us talk about how important it is to have a VPN to protect your online privacy. But choosing a VPN you trust is equally as important. Now, I like to do research on my sponsors, and I can only recommend brands to my listeners that I believe in. I think I'm speaking for everybody here. We could say with full confidence that ExpressVPN is the best VPN on the market. Here's why. They don't log your online activity. That's very big. Lots of cheap or free VPNs make money by selling your data to advertisers. Not ExpressVPN. They do not do this. They even developed a technology, trusted server, that makes their VPN servers incapable of storing any data at all. Also, speed. That's huge. ExpressVPN now uses Lightway, a new VPN protocol they engineered to make user speeds faster than ever. Remember when Randy tripled our upload speed or quadrupled it? Imagine that, but it's a VPN. They're always blazing fast, and they let you stream videos in HD quality with zero buffering. The last thing that really sets ExpressVPN apart is how easy it is to use. You don't need any technical skills to get set up. Just fire up the app and tap one button to connect. That's it. Even your grandparents could do it. Yeah, that's right. Grandparents catching strays out here. It's not just me saying it. CNET, The Verge, many other tech journalists rate ExpressVPN the #1 VPN in the world. So protect yourself with the VPN that I use and trust. Use my link, expressvpn.com/bang. That's expressvpn.com/bang today and get an extra 3 months free on a 1-year package. That's expressvpn.com/bang. Check it out. To the NFL.
Fun day in the NFL, huh?
It was better than Saturday, I would imagine, for most.
I needed it.
You did.
I needed it.
You did.
My boys are back.
I mean, I think Mike McCarthy's just really proven himself to be one of the elite coaches, KJ.
Hey, happy for Dan Quinn.
Shout out Dan Quinn.
Former team who tossed him aside. You know?
Yeah.
Falcons.
Did you guys make a 28-3 joke at any point yesterday?
Was that the score at one point?
That was the I don't know if it ever actually got to 20. Yeah, it did.
Auburn was up 28-3 and lost yesterday.
Worst lead in sports.
Yeah.
But they did it with a quarterback getting hurt toward the end of it. But
Falcons are trash, though. Let's get serious.
Nothing really solidifies the Cowboys establishing that they're back, like a win over the Falcons.
A 4-4 team at the time.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, 4-4 team. They beat the Dolphins for one of those 4.
You don't get any cred for keeping a team out of the end zone, blowing a team out.
Their defensive, like the play-by-play in their chart yesterday was like 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, turnover, halftime, turnover. It was I don't think the Falcons had a first down gained by yardage and not by penalties throughout the game. If they did, they might have had 1 or 2. I know Cordell Patterson had a big run early, maybe after the first drive.
Their first drive was legit. I was a little worried. I thought it was going to be a shootout. I was all over the over. Didn't really work out for me. That's okay. Shout out Brick.
Yeah, the only thing I can appreciate about the Falcons to like say, hey, it was a quality day, is the fact that, hey, the Cowboys legitimately have a defense that's worth paying attention to. But what the Falcons have done with Cordell Patterson's career, bringing him back from being like speed wide receiver out of college to kickoff return specialist to still just, just something. The Patriots tried him at running back, didn't really stick. The Browns, I believe, tried as well. Or no, the Bears did. And the Falcons have basically said, you're our number one. Not necessarily by choice, but they've done it, for whatever that's worth. Good on them for that. But I think it's nice if you're the Cowboys to put up 40 and to make people forget about the Broncos game. There you have it.
Mike, I'm going to let you opine as I make a bathroom run.
Okay. I don't really have many thoughts. I don't think Atlanta's good. Cowboys played great. Defense looks great. The offense was clicking. It was a good win. It proves nothing. And the good news for the Cowboys is they have a stranglehold on that division. They're up like 5 games. So they don't have to worry about that. And now it's kind of racing for that number 1 seed, which is a place you want to be, 10, 11 weeks in. So they do deserve some credit for there. There were some better games, though, yesterday. But there were other boat races, but there were some other good games. I think the highlight is Cam Newton returning, scoring on his first 2 plays back as a Carolina Panther.
I was excited to see that. I agree with you on some of the other boat races. The fact that the Cowboys put up 43 and they were one of 4 games with 40-plus points scored yesterday is pretty wild to see, including the freaking Patriots. But yeah, Cam Newton, I guess the game plan going into it is that he was going to play sparingly. Hell, he just signed, Wednesday or Thursday?
3 days prior, yeah. It was the Cam package.
Well, they used it very efficiently and effectively. So happy for Cam. Still don't think he has much of a long-term starting job anywhere in the near future, but glad to see him back as a Panther and doing well in his first game back,
There's nothing I love more than a 15-yard penalty after scoring a touchdown, though. And truthfully, 1,000% deserved. You can't take your helmet off on the field. You haven't been able to do that since 1996. Like, Cam, get to the sideline and find the camera. I found that, hilarious mostly, but
the camera was going to follow you to the sideline.
That's right.
Like, as soon as you walk through the back of the end zone and walk off the side of the end zone towards the sideline, like, he could have done that the whole way and untucked a cape and everything, and nobody would have cared.
Do we have to throw the flag? No. But was it a flagrant violation of the rule? Yes, it was.
I'll add this. I think the plan for Matt Rule, or rumors have said, that he's going to start next week, and they're going to treat the remainder of the year for an audition for him to be there for next year. And he can make up to $10 million this year. Between him and Adrian Peterson coming back and playing like on 3 or 4 days actual notice and being like productive, there are a lot of free agents who come off the street and do that, but to be at that high level and to play and to contribute at that high of a level, your first week back on offense, like, shouts to those guys for being absolute professionals.
There is something to be said for those 2 guys specifically being 2 of the freakiest athletes the NFL has ever seen. Yep. There aren't a whole lot of guys that come off the street and do that, and those guys both did it.
Not at those ages, for sure. The Chiefs are also back.
Yeah, that's scary as we await a trip to Arrowhead next week on Sunday.
Really?
I believe so, right?
Is that Sunday night?
It's got to be a Sunday night. Yeah, it looks like they found it. I thought I was all over the Raiders on that.
Give me more than just a 1-game sample size.
Sure.
They looked very strong.
The defense has been good the last 3 weeks for the Chiefs. And they've got some players there. But I who knows? I'm still not sold on them yet. The Raiders are a dumpster fire for a million reasons. I know their record is still pretty strong, but that franchise this is upheaval. I did have some friends at the game yesterday. They said that stadium is, quote, badass, and had a lot of fun in Vegas, which is nice. I'd like to go there.
See that for sure.
What do we think that line is in Kansas City?
Kansas by 2, I'm seeing, and it is a 3:30 game. It's afternoon game on Fox, so you'll get Troy. Will not have to deal with Romo.
That's for the best.
That is absolutely.
Is it?
I'm still Team Romo.
I am too.
I guess I'm Buck over Nance for football.
I'll give you that.
I'm definitely Buck over Nance in football. Speaking of Buck, did you guys, while I was gone, did y'all talk Buccaneers?
We did not. Wow.
I'm a professional, man.
I snuck that in last minute, so if we skipped over, it's because it wasn't initially on the rundown. But we got to talk about the 10-point loss to the Washington football team.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to the team in Washington. That was the defensive effort that you've kind of been looking for from them all year.
Well, and at the end of the game, they went on a 10.5-minute drive to win the game. Like, it was the longest drive all season.
It was a very, very impressive drive.
The best way to beat Tom Brady is just to keep him on the sideline for 10.5 minutes. And they scored a touchdown on 4th down. It was impressive.
Was that Heineke?
Yeah. It was Heineke.
Oh, look at that, man. Heineke's back.
NFC showed out.
The GOAT, man.
He almost beat Tom Brady in the playoffs last year. Heine's a monster.
Not that the Broncos are, all that great. Who have they beaten? But Jalen Hurts ran all over their ass at home, or I guess in Denver, I should say. And the Eagles are the second best rushing team in the NFL. They didn't, I bitched about this when they played the Cowboys because they ran the ball with the running back by called running plays 2 or 3 times in that game. And I complained about it the week prior to that when Clemson played Georgia, but they only attempted 2 running back rushes. So the fact that they're leading the league in rushing in like 600 yards over the last 4 games or something crazy, that's something I would, maybe walk back from being a guaranteed dub if they can do that against the Cowboys.
Got to deal with Micah Parsons. That's all I'm saying. He's good enough to where I don't fear any mobile quarterback because he's got the speed.
Second favorite Micah for sure.
The guy's got the juice.
Fun to watch.
Speaking of fun to watch, just as I'm about to hop back on the Baker bandwagon, I'm all back in on the Browns. They just got demolished. They got absolutely smoked yesterday.
And he's out again.
That man, that's a tough scene. You got OBJ going to the Rams. Probably. I mean, that is. I don't know. If you're in Cleveland, if you're a Browns fan, that's really defeating because you knew Baker was hurt. Is it the same shoulder that's hurt? Or what? I didn't even see what he did yesterday, but
he tried to come back in the game, and the coach would not allow it. Basically,
I was told it was up to him. That's what he told us.
Man, the Patriots have something cooking. They really do. That team is gonna be a problem moving forward, I think.
Yeah,
I
diminished Mac Jones.
He looks very comfortable in that role already this early on. It's pretty impressive.
I just never want to hear about the Browns ever again.
I don't either. I hate them.
I mean, too much hype.
They built a team that was built to succeed. Like they did, I would say, quote unquote, the right way. Like they put a lot of stock into their O-line, D-line, and then they, added some flashy receivers and players around that. But they spent a lot of draft picks on defense and a lot of equity everywhere else after they thought that they hit on Nick Chubb and Baker Mayfield, and it's fallen apart. I don't want to say shout out here. I guess I would say maybe shout out to the family of Robert Woods, who tears his ACL in practice last week. We all thought OBJ would be the 3rd best option, and now it's like, shit, you really lucked out by bringing in OBJ to partner with Cooper Kupp and Van Jefferson.
Is it insane to think that they are a better team with Robert Woods over OBJ? Like right now,
no, they definitely are.
I think you take Robert Woods. Like Robert Woods is, if anybody's had him on their fantasy team knows. You guys familiar with fantasy football?
I do play it. Yeah.
You know that dude's putting up numbers and is perfect for their system. I don't know what OBJ. He does not offer the same stuff that Robert Woods orders, and may end up coming back to haunt me. But
you're just upset what happened between Cleveland and the Cowboys like a year or two ago. Anyhow, let's
before we move on, can we talk about the Lions game?
Oh yes,
the Lions and Steelers tie at 16, and this was just a bad rock fight.
Did that dude chunk a field goal? The Lions kicker?
Oh, he missed 2 field goals.
He had one that was about 20 yards short.
Brutal.
It's like he kicked the ground first.
It looked like he was kicking a brick.
What was wrong with that ball?
It didn't come off his foot at all. It was very strange.
And I mean, congratulations to them as they broke their 8-game losing streak. But like the Lions are just a tough watch, man. And I saw a stat that Jared Goff is 0-15-1 as a starter when McVay is not his head coach. Like this is an ugly scene.
Remember when that dude played in the Super Bowl like 3 years ago or something? What the hell? That Steelers team with Mason Rudolph is unwatchable.
Yuck.
Yeah, it was just ugly. I just wanted to make fun of those. I feel bad for Will DeFreeze.
Am I crazy? like I know Mason Rudolph, he's had to fill in a number of times over the last few years. Has he ever been that good to where he is still like they're going with him every year as the backup?
No. And
there aren't that many.
They had that Duck guy one time, remember? And Duck Hodges, like he got hot for a couple games, and yet here we are with Mason Rudolph again. I was
Doug
wondering
Hodges?
the same thing.
There are like
Evan
10 good
Hodges.
backup quarterbacks in the league. I mean, it's hard to find a guy for that role.
I know,
You can,
it's
like,
just
plug it. You can plug it.
That's
in
why
and, like, get
Colt
you by.
McCoy and Chipotle Chase Daniel are still employed.
Colt McCoy back down to earth yesterday.
Yeah, not great.
Not a good day. Not good.
Not good.
Not a good weekend for the Longhorns. Turns out.
Why? Oh, the basketball team.
Yeah, they lost to Gonzaga.
Took it to Gonzaga's good.
Dude, I had to go from
Save it
watching.
for the sports party.
I had to go from watching Texas lose to Kansas at home. I flipped over to the Gonzaga game, and Drew Timmy's doing his mustache celebration. I'm like, this is
another.
I'm just gonna kill myself right now.
Another douchebag with a mustache.
That guy's obnoxious. You hear about this guy, Micah?
I'm familiar. Yeah, it was. They were boat race. That game, the UT game, like the football game,
This is
took
my
like
fault.
4.5 hours.
Hit the button.
Hey, we're partying. I don't care what you guys do. You guys, I'm done with the NFL.
And by the time it ended, Texas was already boat raced in basketball.
Okay.
But you know, there's no shame in that. Gonzaga is a powerhouse and a program that knows what they're doing. And Texas is still a collection of transfers. They'll take some time. There's no reason to think they can't compete with that team come December or January. But right now, there's no competition.
For the folks at home, we're partying right now, and you didn't even know it.
Did Cristo Conte just get fired? Because unless Brett just sent us a super misleading text message. He said Del Conte out. Oh, he's just an opinion. Damn it, Brett.
Oh, cut, Brett.
We're
Brett.
recording a sports podcast. Sorry.
Fake news, Brett. This is supposed to be a party. This is the
Quickly
segment
on
in
the
which we
sports
party.
here. We had F1 to talk about. Absolute bonkers race, if you will, down in Sao Paulo. Because of some technical issues during qualifying, Lewis Hamilton, 100 titles, 100 Grand Prix wins, I should say. Started in 10th place and shortly cut that down to 5th place, like after the first few laps. And then it wasn't until I want to say lap 41 or 48, he finally got into second and tried to overtake Verstappen. Verstappen held him off. Took him another 10 laps and 2 other attempts to finally pass him and end up winning. One of those pass attempts, Verstappen, I won't say ran him off the road. We'll let the stewards handle that. There is video evidence that basically shows Verstappen and the FIA absolute dog fucking this whole thing. But, you know, shouts to Hamilton for his 101st win. Now, when I said save it for sports party, that's because I'm absolutely rocking with fucking Chet.
Is this the beanpole who plays for Gonzaga?
I don't like how he appropriates cultures that aren't his own personally. And like just because his dad's like a world class, like one of the most famous people of all time.
I think this is a different chat.
Who are we talking about?
Are you talking about Mike Holmgren's son? Chet Holmgren, 7 foot, maybe 7'1", true freshman out of Minneapolis, St. Paul,
I think
Minnesota.
if I got a running
Gonzaga.
if I got a running start and just form tackled the kid, I think I could split him in half.
I think that
I've seen
his
you do it.
insurance money would beat you to the punch. Like the dude's absolutely going to be a top 2 or 3 pick. He moves like a point guard. You know, he's not Kevin Durant, but he's got that framework and he's got that fluidity. I don't know if his jumper's there. Nobody's jumper is Kevin Durant level.
He's got
but
no
the dude's
swag.
gonna be serious.
He's Michael Porter Jr. at best.
Once he figures out how to carry himself with some swag, he'll be an absolute force. But yeah, the kid's good.
If,
Glaring lack of swag.
Glaring, yeah, his hairstyle it's tough.
shouts to him for knowing that though. He's like, all right, I'm from Minnesota. I'm going to go to Eastern Washington to hide all of my swaglessness. Yeah, Gonzaga is going to run the fucking table. Although Duke in Coach K's final year has some fucking
Dude, that freshman for Duke with a very cool name. What's it?
I think it's Paolo and it's like Marcia.
Paolo.
It's a sick ass name, and he looks fucking incredible. Like that, he looks like he's a fourth year. I mean, he's so comfortable on the court. He's got a very smooth jump shot. Can take it to the rack. He's legit.
Dare I say this is like the most early season college basketball like we've ever. Okay, obviously we haven't been doing this that long, but like I feel like that we're all more into it than we ever. Like there's more players that we know, and it's like we're kind of watching just because. I mean, obviously Texas is coming in highly rated. We know Gonzaga. I would
say it's only because you've kind of got a clear view of who the top draftable players are, and they're on teams that are very watchable. Gonzaga and Duke are pretty loaded. There are a couple G League players out there, but I'm not going to follow it week by week by week. But you've got names to like track the stuff that we like college football for. You can actually kind of do that with college basketball this year. So
how's Mizzou looking?
We're not good.
Okay.
And lastly, keep your eyes out for 2 sports vehicles starting this week. One, Hard Knocks in season, following around the always exciting Indianapolis Colts. I really wish they would have pivoted to the Raiders as soon as they saw Gruden's emails. That would have been entertaining. But we get the Colts. Interested. This is my I'm going to give them a chance to re-win my business because I've been out on Hard Knocks for a few years now. So I'll try this out. And then you also will get Man in the Arena. I believe a Bill Simmons thing. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe so.
In-depth documentary production series on Tom Brady and his career, multi-part on ESPN.
Didn't he already do one of these on Facebook called Tom versus Time?
On what?
He did like a documentary called Tom versus Time that was like a Facebook exclusive a few years ago.
Well, that's why I haven't heard of it.
No, me neither.
On Meta.
It's now only on Meta. Correct, KJ.
Sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, look, this is probably really, really cool if you're a Patriots fan. I honestly, this is not something I'll really go out of my way to watch, but
I don't care about it.
No, but it's worthy. I don't know. Depending on how many parts.
I'm not going to watch it and listen. It could be high quality.
I am intrigued by mid-season Hard Knocks, though. Just to see how much of the storyline changes.
You're right.
Preseason to okay. They're actually winning and losing as we're watching this,
That's cool. And I wanted to say we needed like a bigger splash, like a team that has like star power.
Yeah.
We just had the Cowboys.
Who's more electric than Carson Wentz?
Exactly. But this is why it might be really good. The Cowboys just did Hard Knocks, obviously. And it wasn't a good season. The most memorable thing was a drone shot.
Trayvon Diggs' son.
And Aiden Diggs, yeah. Other than that, that was a dud. So maybe having a team that doesn't necessarily drip with the swag is just what it needs.
Jonathan Taylor for sure. Because, that guy needs to be more of a household name. Absolute monster at running back. And then Darius Leonard would be interesting. I don't know his personality, so I'll check it out for those reasons.
Before we get out of here, I'm going to pivot back to Wisconsin football. What's the name of that running back?
Oh, Braylon Allen. Braylon Braylon Allen.
That's a name we'll need to be familiar with, huh?
6'2", 240 running back. He's had 100 yards rushing for 6 or 7 straight games, like in the thick of the Big Ten season. I think put up like 136 when he was the backup against Iowa. I'm absolutely all in. He wears number 0, and in high school he played like linebacker and safety predominantly. And the dude absolutely wrecks. So all in on Braylon Allen.
Okay. And how old is he? 17?
About to turn 18, somewhere around then.
That's wild.
Micah, it's golden as always.
We running it back?
Yeah. Is there sound effects that go along with this anymore?
We lost it for spooky season, but if you'll give me a minute, I'll give you some sound effects.
Yeah, give me something. Show me something.
It's a special Halloween edition of Run It Back.
Good. Welcome to Run It Back, the segment in which we talk about what we've already talked about. Micah is sauteed AF on that super fantastic. KJ is currently north of the Waco-Dixon line. Dylan says that no one watches the Longhorn Network.
It's true.
Fake News Brett reports that Chris Del Conte is out as athletic director.
What a tease.
Dave said that Chet's dad is very famous.
It's true.
And the Tom vs. Time doc is currently available in the metaverse. Also of note.
Oh, no, here we go.
I had our friend Curry on Mind of Micah today to talk about the Longhorn. It's a new podcast we're starting called Texas in 20. So you can check that out, Mind of Micah, wherever podcasts are found, as well as Micah's Read of the Week, the newsletter. And I would love to help you if you're interested in buying a home or refinancing.
No free ads.
Please go to savewithmicah.com.
No.
Thank you.
Is that real?
That is real.
Oh,
and,
my
and within
God.
5 minutes, I will call you. Savewithmicah.com. I would be happy to have a free consultation. Thanks.
Man, I'm sure no listener will abuse the you'll call them back thing. Like no one's gonna prank that. It's just gonna be all legitimate inquiries.
I can't
only.
wait.
Unbelievable. Well, Micah, first and foremost, thank you to you for an impromptu visit.
It was a real treat having you.
The
on
treat
today.
was all mine. Thank you. Thank you, fellas.
Thank you, Michael.
KJ, thank you for chiming in via the miracle of video.
Very cool of you, KJ.
I appreciate it. Micah, you may be hearing from me in the very, probably not near future, but, we'll see.
Well, you know where to find me on social media at Micah Wiener, MICAHWIENER.
What is it? SaveMoneyWithMicah.com?
SaveWithMicah.com. You can go to MicahWiener.com too. Whatever works.
URL.
Thank you.
And
All right,
Dylan,
let's get David out of here.
Dylan, as always, man,
Bye.
thank you so much for just all that you do.
Just taking it in the shorts.
I wasn't gonna say that.
A lot of UT fans wouldn't have shown up today. I'm proud of you, Dylan.
Bye-bye, Micah.
Bye-bye.